The enemy's celebration, the stars burned quietly across the endless dark. For the first time in years, the galaxy was silent. The great war was over, or so the victors believed. On the shattered world of Calvith Prime, the enemy gathered in vast halls of crystal and fire. Banners hung high, painted with the mark of their empire. Armies marched in tight lines. The sound of war drums shook the air. Victory songs rose into the sky. They were celebrating. The humans, they said, were gone. The Deathworlders, the ones who had fought longer and harder than anyone thought possible, were finally broken. Their fleets burned. Their colonies turned to dust. Their armies scattered like ash in the wind. The galaxy had watched humanity rise like a storm Now it believed the storm was gone. The High Commander of the Sevari Empire stood at the center of the Grand Hall. His voice boomed across the chamber. Today, the nightmare ends. Humanity is finished. Their courage is nothing but a memory. Their fire has gone cold. From this day forward, the galaxy belongs to us. The crowd erupted. Thousands of voices screamed in triumph. Soldiers pounded their weapons against the ground. The sound echoed like thunder. But beyond the cheers, far away in the empty dark, something stirred in the shadows of a broken asteroid field. A small group of alien survivors sat around a failing transmitter. They were not part of the celebration. They were rebels, exiles, those who had once stood with humanity against this empire. Their leader, a weary alien named Koresh, spoke softly. "They believe it is over," he said, staring at the cracked screen before him. One of his fighters spat on the ground. "Maybe it is. No human ship has answered in months. No colony has sent word. Perhaps they are truly gone." Koresh shook his head. His voice was rough, but steady. "No, humans do not vanish so easily. If there is even one alive, we must find them." The rebels activated the transmitter again. Static filled the air. For hours, it was only noise. White, broken, empty. Hope slipped further with every second. And then, a sound dot at first. It was faint. Almost nothing. A weak signal cutting through the static. The fighters froze. The noise repeated, sharper this time. It was not alien. It was not machine. It was a voice. A human voice. The words were broken, twisted by distance, but clear enough to shake their hearts. "If anyone can hear this, humanity still fights." The rebels stared in shock. For a moment, the entire asteroid felt alive again. Koresh's hands trembled as he leaned closer to the signal. His voice cracked when he whispered, "I told you, they are not gone." But far away, on Calvith Prime, the Empire still danced in their victory. The High Commander raised his glass high. "Let the galaxy remember this day. The humans thought themselves strong. They thought their spirit unbreakable. But today proves the truth. Our empire stands eternal, while they are nothing but dust." The soldiers roared louder, as if their noise could bury the truth. Fireworks filled the sky. Beacons of light blazed across cities. Entire planets joined the celebration. Billions believed the war was finished. Children learned songs of triumph. Artists painted the destruction of Earth as proof of the Empire's power. But no song could silence the whisper in the void. The signal spread, weak but unstoppable, bouncing from one relay to another. Many dismissed it as a trick. Some laughed, saying it was the ghost of a dead species. But others listened, and when they heard the human voice, their hearts trembled. On one mining moon, a worker froze when the words crackled through his gums. Humanity still fights. On a hidden colony, old veterans wept when they recognized the voice of their lost allies. Across the galaxy, the celebration continued, but in quiet corners, fear began to grow. Because if the humans were still alive, if even one ship remained, And the war was not over. The Empire had claimed victory too soon. And somewhere, deep in the black, a human warship was listening. The galaxy believed humanity was finished. The Empire celebrated with songs and fire. But the silence of space carried another truth. The humans were not gone. They were waiting. And when they answered, the galaxy would remember why it had once feared them. The broken signal the galaxy celebrated. But in the silence between the stars, whispers began to move. The Empire's victory chants were loud, yet a single weak sound cut through the noise. A broken signal dotted began on a forgotten relay station orbiting a dying sun. The station had been left to rot years ago, its systems weak and failing. But its old antenna caught something, a voice struggling through static, like an echo trapped in the void. If anyone hear this humanity still fights. The station's old machines recorded it, then pushed it forward, across the void, into listening ears that were never meant to hear it. On the mining moon of Iralos, a worker named Sarin sat alone in the control tower. He was tired, covered in dust from long shifts. His job was boring. Watch the scanners, report nothing, and stay invisible to the Empire. But that night, his console flickered. A faint sound crawled into the room. At first, he thought it was broken equipment. He leaned closer, turning the dial dot then. He heard it. Humanity still fights. His heart stopped. He knew that voice was human. Rough, strong, even through the static. He had fought with humans once, long ago, before the Empire crushed them. He stood frozen, his hands shaking. He whispered to himself, "Impossible. You were supposed to be gone." News of the signal traveled quickly in secret channels. Some said it was fake, a trap by the Empire to crush old rebels. Others said it was the last recording of a dead soldier, repeating forever. But those who had fought beside humans, the ones who remembered their fire, their stubbornness, they knew better. On the asteroid base where Koresh's rebels waited, the signal reached them again. This time clearer. To any ally, to anyone left. Humanity does not fall. We are still here. The fighters stared at the transmitter, silent. Then one of them, a young alien named Vera, whispered, "They are alive." Koresh's eyes burned as he slammed his hand on the table. Alive. And fighting. I told you. The humans never give up. The rebels were no longer just hiding. Hope returned to their bones. The galaxy had declared the war finished. But this signal told a different truth. Meanwhile, the Empire heard whispers to dot in the golden halls of Calvith Prime. The High Commander received reports. His generals bowed low, their voices nervous. "My lord," one of them said, "a strange transmission is spreading. It speaks with a human voice." The High Commander laughed, sharp and cruel. "A trick, a shadow of the past. Do not waste my time with ghosts." But his laughter was forced. Deep in his chest, a quiet fear stirred. He remembered how humans had fought before. One human ship could destroy fleets, how their soldiers fought even when broken and bleeding. If they were truly alive, then his victory was not complete. Across the galaxy, ordinary people began to hear the signal. On smuggler ships, in broken colonies, on hidden channels. Every time, the message was the same. Humanity still fights. And with every word, something dangerous spread. Belief. Children who had grown up hearing only of the Empire's power now whispered the human words. Old soldiers sat straighter, their hearts burning again. Secret groups began to plan, daring to imagine rebellion. The Empire had celebrated too soon. One night, on the mining moon, Sarin decided he could no longer stay silent. He recorded the signal, carried it in a hidden drive, and sent a coded message to the rebels. When Koresh received it, he stood before his fighters and played the recording. The human voice filled the cold room. To anyone, we are still here. Humanity does not fall. Tears filled the eyes of those who listened. Vera clenched her fists. If humans are still alive, then the war is not lost. Koresh nodded. His voice shook with pride. The Empire will learn the truth. Their celebration is a lie. The humans will return, and when they do, the galaxy will change forever. But the rebels did not know the full truth, yet not far beyond their hiding places. In the dead silence of a forgotten sector, a ship stirred. Its hull was scarred, its weapons old, but its engines still burned with life. It had been waiting, silent, hidden from enemy eyes. Listening. Now, it heard the signal. Inside the ship, a human captain opened his eyes. His voice, deep and steady, spoke to his crew. They think we are gone. They think the war is over. He looked to the stars, fire burning in his eyes. Let's remind them who humanity is. The broken signal had spread across the galaxy. Some laughed at it, some feared it. But for those who believed, it was not just a message. It was a warning. Humanity was not finished. They were coming back. Humanity returns. The galaxy had heard the broken signal. Whispers traveled faster than light, carried from station to station, hidden in coded channels. Some said it was only a ghost, a last recording of the dead. Others said it was hope. But for the Empire, it was danger. On Calvith Prime, the High Commander gathered his generals. His voice was sharp with anger. These rumors of humans, they will end. Send a fleet. Crush whatever dares to make this signal. And so, an armada of warships left the celebration and spread into the void. Thousands of ships, armed and ready. They hunted shadows, searching for ghosts. Far away, beyond the Empire's reach, a single ship drifted in silence. Its hull was blackened by fire. Its weapons bore scars of old wars. But it still moved, slow and steady. It was a human warship. Resolute. Inside, its crew had been waiting for years in the darkness, hiding, surviving. They had heard the galaxy's cheers of their defeat, but they had not spoken. Not until the signal had called them back. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the bridge. His uniform was worn, his face lined with years of war, but his eyes were sharp, burning with purpose. He turned to his crew. They think we are gone. They think the war is over. Today, we show them they were wrong. The first encounter happened near the Vale Nebula. An Empire fleet of 50 ships cornered the Resolute. Their commander laughed over the coms. One human ship dares to face us? This will be quick. But humans did not fight with numbers. They fought with fury, with creativity, with madness. The Resolute moved like a predator, weaving between the enemy lines. Its weapons struck with precision, tearing through shields, shattering armor. Every shot counted. Every move was impossible to predict. The Empire commander screamed for more fire. But panic spread through his fleet. Their ships, built for overwhelming numbers, were being destroyed one by a single human vessel. When the battle ended, wreckage floated across the stars. 50 enemy ships had come to destroy one. Only the Resolute remained, and it was untouched. The news spread faster then. Fire. Across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. It is true. The humans are back. One ship destroyed an entire fleet. The Deathworlders live. On hidden colonies, rebels cheered. On mining moons, workers dared to smile. Even in the Empire's grand cities, people spoke the words in secret. Humanity has returned. Back on the asteroid base, Koresh and his rebels watched the battle report. Their eyes widened as the images appeared: flames, shattered cruisers, and in the middle, the black scarred shape of a human warship. Vera whispered, her voice trembling, "One ship." Only one did this? Koresh's jaw tightened. Not just a ship. Humans, This is what they are. This is why the Empire feared them. The rebels no longer felt alone. They felt the tide turning. But the Empire would not admit defeat. On Calvith Prime, the High Commander slammed his fist on the table. One ship cannot change the war. They are only shadows, clinging to life. We will crush them. His generals looked at him with unease, for they had seen the images too. They remembered old battles, when humans fought against impossible odds, and one dot if one ship had survived. Perhaps more had, and that thought was more dangerous than any weapon dot in the dark corridors of the Resolute. Captain Ward stood before his crew. He looked at their tired faces, their scars, their unbroken spirit. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The galaxy believes we are weak. The Empire thinks it has one. But we will remind them what it means to fight humanity." His crew stood straighter. Their eyes burned with the same fire. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not afraid, because fear belonged to their enemies now. That night, as the wreckage of the Empire fleet drifted into silence, the Resolute sent out a new signal. Stronger, clearer, louder than before. The galaxy, humanity still fights. To the Empire, your victory is a lie. We are coming. The message echoed across the stars. On rebel bases, hearts leapt. On Empire worlds, fear spread like a shadow. Children whispered it. Soldiers doubted. Leaders trembled, because the humans had returned not as ghosts, not as broken survivors, but as warriors, and they were only getting started. The hidden army, the battle near the Veil Nebula became legend overnight. A single human ship had destroyed an entire Empire fleet. For weeks, whispers carried the story from world to world. Some said the humans had built a weapon the galaxy had never seen. Others said their ship was cursed, guided by ghosts of the dead. But the truth was simpler. It was humanity. The Empire worked hard to bury the news. Their messengers called it a lie, a trick, an illusion. But recordings of the battle could not be erased. The sight of a lone human ship drifting untouched among burning wreckage spread everywhere. The galaxy began to wonder, if one human ship survived, how many more could be hidden? On Calvith Prime, the High Commander stared at the reports. His generals stood silent, afraid to speak. "This was chance," the commander growled. "One ship cannot change the course of history. They will fall." But deep in his mind, doubt gnawed. He remembered the old war. He remembered how humans fought not with endless numbers, but with impossible will. If there was one human ship, there could be an army waiting, hidden in the dark. The thought chilled him more than any enemy fleet. Meanwhile, the Resolute moved silently through forgotten space. Its crew worked in shadows, repairing weapons, restoring engines. Captain Elias Ward stood at the command deck, watching the stars. His officers gathered around him. "They will hunt us harder now," one said. "They will send thousands of ships," another warned. Ward nodded, calm. "Good. Let them come. Every ship they send after us is one less to crush the weak." The crew smiled grimly. They knew the risks. But they also knew something the galaxy had not yet discovered. The Resolute was not alone. In a distant sector, hidden beneath the storms of a gas giant, another human warship stirred. Its hull carried the name Iron Rain. Its crew had slept for years in cryopods, waiting for the signal. Now, awakened by the message, their engines roared to life. In the ruins of a burned colony, a third ship rose from the ash, the Vanguard. Broken, patched, but unyielding. Its captain sent a single word into the void. "Ready?" One by one, across the galaxy, silent ships answered. Some hidden in asteroid belts. Some deep in forgotten systems. Some drifting among wrecks, pretending to be dead. They had never fallen. They had only waited. On the asteroid rebel base, Koresh and his fighters listened to the newest transmissions. Vera's eyes widened as voices filled the room. This is the Iron Rain. We hear you. This is the Vanguard. We fight still. This is humanity. The war is not finished. The rebels stood frozen. Hope, raw and powerful, flooded their hearts. Koresh whispered, "It's not one ship. It's never been one. Humanity hid an army." The fighters cheered, some weeping openly. The galaxy had thought humans gone, but in truth they had become shadows, waiting for the right moment to rise again. The Empire tried to silence the truth, but it spread faster than their lies. Smugglers carried the news. Miners passed it in secret. Children sang it as stories in the streets. More human. Ships are coming. An army waits in the dark. The Deathworlders are rising. Fear grew like a disease in the Empire's heart. Soldiers hesitated. Commanders questioned orders. Civilians whispered treason, because they all knew one thing. If the humans returned in force, no celebration could save them. On the Resolute, Captain Ward stood before a holomap of the galaxy. Green lights blinked across the star signals from hidden human ships now awakening. He placed his hand on the map. His voice was steady, but filled with fire. For years, they thought us broken. For years, they celebrated our defeat. But today, we rise. We will strike not as one ship, but as many. We will remind the galaxy what it means to fight humanity. His crew raised their fists, shouting together. The ship's walls trembled with their voices. They were no longer survivors. They were an army dot, and as the Empire gathered fleets, building walls of fire around its worlds, a truth they could not admit echoed through the stars. The humans were back. The humans had hidden their strength. And now, the hidden army was awakening. The galaxy was about to learn the greatest lesson of all. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who fights in front of you. It is the one who you thought was already gone. The first strike the Empire still told its people the war was over. Their rulers stood in golden halls, speaking of strength, speaking of peace. But outside those halls, fear spread like cracks in glass. Everyone had heard the rumors now. More than one human ship. More than shadows. An army dot, and in the void, that rumor became truth. At the edge of the forgotten Vega rift, a fleet gathered in silence. No Empire eyes saw it. No sensors touched it. The Resolute floated at the front, scarred, but unbroken. Beside it came the Iron Rain, its armor black and sharp as a blade. Then the Vanguard, rising from the ashes of its colony. One by one, ships appeared, some heavy cruisers, some small frigates, all survivors of an old war thought lost. Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the growing fleet. His voice was calm, but his crew heard the fire beneath. For years we hid. For years we endured. But now we strike. Not for glory, not for revenge. We strike so the galaxy remembers humanity. We strike so the Empire learns fear. His words carried through the comms. Across dozens of ships, men and women lifted their heads higher. Their voices answered as one. Humanity fights. Their target was not random. The Empire had built a fortress on the moon of Kaltros, guarding the trade routes. It was said to be unbreakable, defended by hundreds of ships and a station with weapons strong enough to cut through fleets. It was the perfect symbol of Empire power, and the perfect target for humanity's return. When the human fleet arrived, the Empire was unprepared. Their sensors screamed warnings too late. Commanders barked orders, scrambling ships into position. Contact multiple. Signatures. Unknown fleet size. It's them, the humans. The Resolute led the charge. Its engines roared as it plunged straight into enemy lines. The Iron Rain followed, unleashing fire that tore holes in the Empire's walls. The battle began like thunder. Empire ships outnumbered the humans 5-1. But numbers did not matter. Humans moved with fury, with strategy no machine could predict. They fought like predators, striking fast, vanishing into cover, hitting where it hurt most. Fortress on Caltros fired its massive cannons. Beams of energy ripped through space, shaking human ships. The Vanguard took a direct hit, its shields cracking. For a moment, it seemed ready to fall, but its captain growled, "Not today," and rammed straight through 2 enemy frigates, turning both into fire. The Vanguard burned, but it did not break. Across the battlefield, Empire commanders shouted in panic. "They fight like demons. Hold the line, hold the line." But there was no line to hold. Every formation they built shattered under the humans' relentless strikes. The fortress trembled under constant fire. Explosions rippled across its shields. For the first time in decades, the Empire saw its strongest defenses falter. And then came the moment that changed everything. The Resolute broke through. It dodged beams, weaving between enemy cruisers, until it came face to face with the fortress. Its weapons charged, glowing with deadly light. Captain Ward's voice carried through. "The fleet. Today, the galaxy remembers." Fire. A storm of human weapons struck the fortress. Its shield screamed, collapsing in a blaze of light. The final shot tore through its core, ripping the station apart. The fortress of Caltros, the pride of the Empire, exploded into dust. Silence filled the battlefield. The Empire ships froze, their commanders speechless. They had been told humanity was finished. They had been promised victory forever. And yet, in front of their eyes, everything had been broken. Some ships fled, others surrendered. Those who fought to the end were destroyed. When the fire cleared, the human fleet still stood, damaged, scarred, but alive. The fortress was gone, the route was free, and the galaxy had witnessed the impossible. Word of the battle raced faster than light. Smugglers, rebels, traitors all carried the story. An Empire fortress has fallen. Humans did it, a fleet of them. They are back, and they are unstoppable. On hidden colonies, people celebrated. On Empire worlds, fear turned into despair. Children spoke of humans as heroes. Soldiers whispered of them as nightmares. The Empire's victory celebration was nothing but ashes now. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Ward stood in silence, looking at the wreckage drifting outside. His officers waited for his words. At last he spoke. "This is only the first strike. The Empire thinks this battle was the war. They are wrong. This was a message." He turned his gaze to the stars. To every world, to every ally, to every enemy, humanity has returned. And we are not finished. The crew's cheers shook the walls. For the first time in years, humanity was not just surviving. They were winning. The Empire trembles. The fortress of Caltros was gone. What was once the Empire's strongest shield now drifted as burning debris across the stars. The battle was over, but its echo had just begun. News of the destruction spread faster than ships could travel. On every planet, in every port, whispers became shouts. For the first time in centuries, the people of the galaxy believed the Empire could bleed. And at the center of every rumor was one name. Humanity. On the throne world of Volcara, the Emperor sat in silence. His golden hall, once filled with pride, now felt heavy with fear. Generals knelt before him, their voices low and broken. "They came from nowhere, Majesty. We counted 12 human ships, perhaps more. Our fortress fell in ours." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. One fortress does not decide a war. But even as he spoke, he saw it in their faces, the doubt, the terror. They had all been raised on the story that humanity was finished, that their worlds had been crushed, Their fleets destroyed. Now. Those stories were lies. In the shadows of Volcara's streets, rebellion stirred. Ordinary citizens spoke of the humans as saviors. Slave workers whispered of freedom. Soldiers muttered that they did not want to be sent to fight the Death Worlders. The Empire's power had not yet broken, but cracks had formed. And cracks, once opened, only spread wider. On a mining colony, Koresh and his rebel fighters watched the holoscreens. They saw the fortress fall, saw Empire fleets scatter. Vera's hands shook with excitement. Do you see? The Empire can lose. Humanity has shown us. The rebels erupted in cheers, their hope now burning like fire. Koresh raised his fist, his voice steady. Then we rise with them. Every strike the humans make, we will strike beside them. This is not only their war, it is ours. And across the galaxy, others said the same. Smugglers, miners, slaves, and rebels all began to prepare. Humanity's return had lit a flame no power could put out. Inside the Empire's War Council, fear grew. We must send more fleets, one general shouted. We must crush every rumor, another said. We must find their base, but none agreed. Every plan clashed against another. Some wanted to strike with fire. Some wanted to retreat. And Hyde. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. You fools speak as if they are gods. They are not gods. They are humans. They will break, as all things break. Yet his words sounded hollow, even to himself, because deep down he remembered the old war too. He remembered how humanity had fought with teeth and fire, even when outnumbered 1,000 to 1. He remembered how they had never surrendered, and he feared the truth. Far away, on the Resolute, the humans knew this fear was spreading. Captain Elias Ward studied intercepted transmissions. He listened to the Empire generals argue, their voices filled with doubt. They tremble, Ward said quietly. His officer, Commander Hall, smiled. Good. Let their fear do half the work for us. Ward's eyes hardened. Fear alone won't win the war, but it will open doors. Doors for allies, doors for uprisings. We must move before the Empire finds its balance. He turned to the fleet map. Green signals blinked ships rebels knew. Allies rising across the stars. Humanity does not fight alone anymore, Ward said. On Empire worlds, paranoia grew. Every shadow was seen as a rebel, every whisper as treason. Loyal citizens were dragged away. Soldiers patrolled with heavy weapons, not against humans, but against their own people. The Empire had ruled by fear. Now, fear was ruling the Empire. And in that chaos, the humans struck again. Small raids, ambushes, swift attacks on supply lines. Not large battles, but constant wounds. Each cut bled the Empire a little more. Each strike spread the story further. The Empire once looked unbreakable. Now it shook like a dying beast. On Volcara, the Emperor stood before his council once more. His voice was sharp, almost desperate. If humanity wishes to rise, we will burn every world they touch. We will turn hope into ash. But the generals did not cheer. They bowed in silence, their eyes empty, because they all knew the truth. The humans were back. They were striking harder, faster, with all eyes gathering behind them. And no amount of speeches could stop the fear crawling through the Empire's heart. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Ward watched as new signals appeared on the holomap. Rebel groups, colonies rising, all eyes ready to fight. He allowed himself a rare smile. The Empire trembles, he said softly, and trembling enemies always fall. His crew looked at him, their eyes shining with the same fire. Humanity had once been scattered shadows. Now they were becoming a storm. And the storm was only beginning. The fall of tyrants. The Empire's banners still hung across the stars, But they no longer carried pride. They carried fear. Entire worlds whispered rebellion. Soldiers deserted. Governors locked themselves inside their palaces, waiting for a war they could not win. And far above, the human fleet prepared for its final strike. On the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward stood before his crew. The holomap of Velcara, the Empire's throne world, glowed before them. At its heart lay the Emperor's palace, defended by a ring of warships and massive planetary shields. Ward's voice was steady. We have cut their supply lines. We have broken their fortresses. We have stirred rebellion in their streets. But the Empire will not die until its throne falls. Velcara is our target. Velcara ends this war. The crew was silent at first. Then one voice spoke, then another, until the entire ship echoed with a single cry. Humanity fights! The attack began at dawn over Velcara. The Empire had gathered everything it had left: hundreds of warships, colossal battle stations, weapons forged to destroy entire moons. They waited, confident that numbers would crush the humans once and for all. But when the humans arrived, they did not come alone. The Resolute and its fleet appeared first. Then rebel cruisers from Koresh's colony. Smuggler ships armed with stolen weapons. Even slave uprisings had built makeshift warships, flying broken but burning with purpose. Dozens became hundreds. The galaxy itself rose beside humanity. The Empire's commanders knew, before a shot was fired, that the war had already turned. The sky of Velcara became fire. Human ships darted through Empire lines like hunters, tearing apart heavy cruisers with precision strikes. Rebels swarmed in numbers, hitting from every angle. Smuggler fleets rammed enemy ships, laughing as they fell in flames. The Emperor's voice roared across comms. "Stand and fight! They are insects, nothing more." But his words could not erase the truth. The Empire's insects were breaking his fleets apart. On the ground, Velcara's people rose. Citizens stormed armories. Slave workers broke chains and seized weapons. Crowds filled the streets, shouting only one word: freedom. The palace guard into the mobs, but for every rebel who fell, 10 more rose. The Empire's throne world, once untouchable, was drowning in its own fear. Above, the Resolute pushed deeper. Captain Ward stood tall as enemy fire shook the ship. "All guns forward!" he ordered. The Resolute charged through the burning sky, leading the fleet straight toward the palace shields. Beams of energy struck its hull, tearing through armor, but still it moved. When the first shield cracked, Ward gave the order. "Fire!" A storm of human weapons tore through the barrier. The shield collapsed in a blaze of light. The path to the Emperor was open. Inside the palace, the Emperor stood alone. His generals had fled. His guards lay dead in the streets. Outside, the thunder of battle shook the walls. Still, he clung to his throne, his voice shaking with rage. "They are only humans," he whispered. "They cannot end an empire." But the doors shattered before him. Captain Ward entered, his armor scarred, his eyes cold as steel. Behind him stood Koresh, rebels, and soldiers of every world that had risen against tyranny. The Emperor rose, his crown gleaming in the firelight. "You think this ends with me? Kill me, and another will rise. The Empire will never die." Ward's voice was low but unshaken. "Empires die. Humanity endures." With those words, the Emperor's reign ended. When the smoke cleared, Velcara's skies were silent. The banners of the Empire fell from the towers. In their place, the people raised a new symbol, not of humans ruling, but of freedom shared across every world that had suffered. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy was no longer under chains. On the bridge of the Resolute, the crew watched the celebrations rise from Velcara's streets. Fires burned, but they were fires of victory, not defeat. Commander Holly turned to Ward. "It's over. We've won." Ward shook his head. His eyes were on the stars. "No, it's only begun. Humanity did not return for revenge. We return to make sure no tyrant ever holds the galaxy again. We will guard it. We will fight for it. Always." His words carried through the combs, across ships, across worlds. And everywhere, voices rose together in answer. Humanity fights. The Empire had fallen. Tyranny had ended. And humanity, once, the forgotten survivors of a lost war, had become the guardians of the galaxy, the weakest species no longer, the galaxy's fiercest defenders forever.